Okay, what's up, you guys? We are on episode 4 of Keys of the Castle podcast, and I am just going to kind of free flow through some notes here and ideas, a little bit of a continuation of episodes 2 and 3, so just some ideas of kind of my perspective personally of specifically California Adventure, and maybe I'll split this up half and half, California Adventure and Disneyland, but I'm just gonna kind of free flow, so I'm not sure if this is gonna turn out to be more California Adventure, but I'll start there, and then at some point I should have plenty of time to jump over to Disneyland in order to stay within my 60-minute mark here for each episode, which is what I've been doing currently. So yeah, let's start off with California Adventure. So for me personally, and this may be a little bit contrary to popular opinion in terms of Disney frequenters, or maybe not even Disney frequenters. I'm going to go ahead and honestly say more like Disney YouTubers, I guess. I don't know. It just seems like California Adventure kind of gets a little bit of shade, a little bit of hate for being what it is, and yeah, I'm kind of definitely on the other end of things with that, because I personally love California Adventure, and I know a big thing is that kind of gets a lot of hate because of maybe like going through a rough patch when it first opened, or I think the other biggest thing is the fact that it's a California themed park in California. And here's what I think. Well, first of all, I just personally love this park, love the idea. I always have. I wasn't going to California Adventure when it first opened, I will say that. So it took me some years to get into that park. But yeah, I love it. I love the theme. I think it's absolutely great. I think it's amazing. I think it is honestly the perfect way to kind of experience the vibes and atmosphere of all of California, or a lot of California, or some common, themes and vibes, and a lot of the atmosphere of California as a place to visit, and as a state, and what have you. I think it's a great way to experience that in the beauty and safety of Disney. That's honestly what I think, and honestly, I think over the years too, like LA has become a lot less of touristy kind of place, in my opinion. I could be completely wrong about that. But yeah, honestly, for me, I think Disney is it's a cool place to experience. The theme of California. Now that's just me, and I'm not saying there's not a creative way to interweave other aspects of theming into this park. Obviously, like, Disneyland is Disneyland, but the lands that are within Disneyland are all completely different. So I don't understand why California Adventure couldn't be the same. I guess I'm just kind of just thinking about this now, but it's like, you can always incorporate whatever kind of land you want into California Adventure. But anyway, I personally don't mind California Adventure. I don't mind the theme. I think it's great. Not that I don't want any of the park to change ever, but I definitely just like the theming, and I think it can be built upon, and I think that there can be a lot of other things incorporated, obviously, into it. But as far as California Adventure, being California Adventure, I absolutely love it. And yeah, I don't think. I think honestly, I think Disneyland is one of the greatest things about California. That might be kind of messed up or sad to say, but I don't know. That's just my opinion. Not saying other parts of California shouldn't be visited or there's no tourist spots. Of course, a lot of the places are beautiful and absolutely worth going to. But I personally think Disney's a great place to experience the vibes. I just think there's nothing wrong with that theme of the park. I really don't. And yeah, I'm sure most people don't agree with me, who are like, I don't know, influencers or YouTubers or something. I don't know. Anyway, moving on a little bit from that. Yeah, I don't know. I guess, honestly, I really do think that Californians don't mind it either. That's just me. I think the average person in California Adventure and in Disneyland in California is not a Disney super fan or YouTuber. I think a lot of them are just residents of California who honestly don't mind just going to Disney as opposed to just traveling the whole entire state. Anyway, whole other argument, whole other thing. But yeah, that's my little bit of a 2 cents on that. I will say also, well, let me see here. Let me check out my notes. So, I will say one thing is that I know for a while it almost seemed like California Adventure was going to be like the Pixar park, like the Pixar version of Disneyland, which I think actually would have been a great idea. I know there's all kinds of issues that would come with that, but I don't know. If there's a way that could work, I think that the vibe of that would be so cool, of having kind of that park as the I don't know, like the fresher, like not the fresher, but fresh, the newer films, like Pixar. So everything from, I guess, Toy Story, and then newer than that, and kind of Disneyland being the old school classic vintage type of vibes. Yeah, not that it has to be two opposite extremes. That's not what this idea is, but anyway, I just think it would be really cool. And actually, somebody I know personally who does not live in the country, actually, in the United States, who is not able to be a frequent Southern California Disney parks goer. When they first went to the park, that's how they kind of interpreted it. That's the Pixar side, California Adventure. Disneyland is like the more classic side. I thought that was really cool. Thought it was interesting, and I honestly think it's a great idea. But yeah, also can't help but wonder if it was kind of just like a Walt Disney Animation Studio themed park. I think that would be great too. And I guess the last thing I'll talk about just the theming and basic ideas of California Adventure is actually the name California Adventure. I keep saying that because I keep saying California Adventure instead of DCA, because I want to say originally the park was called California Adventure, and then I think later on it was called Disney's California Adventure. And I think I think some people abbreviate it now and just call it DCA, which honestly, personally, that really makes me cringe. Like, that really, really bothers me for some reason. It just makes it sound so, to me, like, and no offense if you use this, if it's just easier for you to say, then, like, totally cool. But for me, I just feel like using it as using the abbreviation on a regular basis it just sounds boring and cold to me. And it just sounds very, I don't know, just sounds a little wonky to me, a little dorky, but that's just me. I have no problem calling it California Adventure, and I don't know, maybe not to get into conspiracy mode, but maybe Disney wanted to overcomplicate the name to have it abbreviated to DCA so they could change it later, and there would be less emotional attachment to the name from guests. I don't know. I'm going over the top here, but you never know. You just never know. But moving on here, let's see. So, Disney Animation Studio Park, themed park, abbreviations. So, I don't see my notes on this, but I did want to talk about the experience for kids. So last time I went to any Disney park, it was a full day at California Adventure, and it was meant to be kind of like a kids' day. I know California Adventure is typically probably not a full day type of park, but we did not even get there before the park opened. We didn't even get there early, and I think we probably didn't even get there till like 11 or 12 because it was kind of a spontaneous trip. Literally spontaneous that morning. We were just like, you guys want to go? Let's go. Anyway, yeah, so it was meant to be kind of like a kid's day, and this is a whole other argument as well. But for us on that trip, the main focus definitely was the rides, not necessarily the shows or experiences or attractions, because I know there's some of that too. But and then it's also this. I know there's a lot of shows for not a lot, but it does seem like there's a handful of shows. I'm not sure all of them exactly, but I've seen, say, at least 2 or 3 different shows or performances that are Marvel themed and Marvel based. And yeah, I just think that leaves kind of a big gap if you're not too much of a Marvel fan. And I'll talk a little bit about our day there too. And hopefully that doesn't take too much time, but we'll see. We'll see how far we get into this episode. So, yeah, I don't know. I think once Bug's Life changed and left, and also the Muppets as well. And like I know there's the whole Turtle Talk with Crush and everything like that, but yeah, I think once the Bug's Life area left and the Muppet Show, it seemed like there's just a big gap for what kids are able to do, and yeah, we kind of went on almost every ride that is like kid friendly. So the only big rides we didn't get on were Guardians of the Galaxy, because those were not kid friendly enough for that day, and also I almost called it Screaming Over California, Incredicoaster, and yeah, I think those are really the only 2. So everything else we pretty much went on, and there was still a gap, and it's kind of like the only kid-friendly rides that were kind of and this is, I'm kind of going all over the place here, but the only kid-friendly rides that were like fun and thrilling enough for a kid but also not too big were the Golden Zephyr and Jumpin' Jellyfish, at least for our kind of age group that day, which was like a younger kids' day. And yeah, that just felt kind of odd to me. I just felt like those are pretty basic rides, and they're great rides. They're fun. We had an amazing time, and like it was just such an awesome kids' day. But it just seemed like there weren't a lot of options, because we ended up riding some of the same rides twice. We rode Soarin' twice. We rode Little Mermaid twice, or Ariel's Adventure. I don't ever call the names their proper names for the rides, but yeah, Soarin' we rode twice, which was Soarin' over California, not Soarin' over the world. Um, and yeah, Little Mermaid, and then what else did we ride twice? We basically kind of reverted for, like I said, the fun kid type rides that were kind of in that nice pocket were Golden Zephyr and Jumpin' Jellyfish, which I don't know. I mean, those. I mean, it's kind of obvious. I don't have to say that those are not like blockbuster rides like Toy Story Mania, or you know what I mean. So I don't know. It just felt like there was definitely a big gap, and yeah, I don't want to be too stuck in the past, but I know there was like a really fun kids spot for playing with water and cooling down and just kind of having fun in the Bugs Life area. And now, kind of outside of the Toy Story Mania area and by the games, there's some of those like prize games that you would see at like the fair, something like that. So there's like one of those big giant water ball globe rock things. That's kind of the only thing, and yeah, a lot of the kids were really fascinated by that, and they were just there for a long time. They did not want to leave. So I just think the kids love stuff like that, and personally, I'm kind of bummed. And again, I'm not saying I'm just against all changes or against all progress, but I am kind of bummed that the something like the Bugs Life area is not there for kids. I mean, you could even say ages like 1 or toddler through ages like walking, barely walking age, through like just young kid type of age. So that's kind of my take on kid type of stuff at California Adventure. So that's something that I know can be adjusted as well. And we did do the Redwood Forests Adventure thing. We did like that whole entire thing. So yeah, it was a good day. We had a lot of time to do everything, so I'm not complaining. It was good. Met Raya. It was good. It was great. So anyway, moving on. So I guess just to kind of talk about something cool and fun and new we did that day also was we rode Spider-Man Web Slingers for the first time ever. So before my pass had expired almost a year ago, not quite a year ago, in I believe it was September of 2022. So my last day of my annual pass, I had to let it expire for some relocation reasons. Either way, yeah, I wasn't sure where basically I was going to be moving or whatever. So anyway, all that to say, on my last day of my annual pass, I was in line for Web Slingers. I was in the single rider line, and I was like literally next in line to get on the ride, and it broke down. So it was cool to finally get to go on that. It was a really, really cool ride. I think the biggest thing I was kind of impressed by was, oddly enough, the ride vehicles. So for some reason, the size and look of the ride vehicles just amazed me. So I think what it was, for some reason and somehow, is also that those Spider-Man the Spider-Man Web Slingers ride vehicles, they somehow had this classic Disney look to them, this classic Disney feel to them for some reason. Maybe not. It could have just all been in my head, in, being just wrapped up in the magic of being there at Disney, but I think it just felt really immersive somehow, in a very unexpected way, because the ride vehicle is really big, it's bulky, and it just feels a little bit contrary to the story of the ride. Not saying that that's a bad thing at all whatsoever. I'm saying just that basically I loved the Spider-Man Web Slingers ride vehicle, especially at first sight. It was just really cool. I hadn't watched any. It's the first time I ever saw it. I hadn't watched any like YouTube videos or walkthroughs or anything like that on purpose, because I wanted to just experience it in person firsthand for the first time. So that was really cool, and yeah, that's just a little bit of some things summed up on that day at California Adventure. And I guess just to kind of recap everything that is along this train of thought for this episode, and talking about just kind of the theming and just some general ideas for the theming for California Adventure. I think that the theme is great. I don't mind the name California Adventure. I don't mind the name Disney's California Adventure. I prefer to call it California Adventure over calling it DCA. I know that there's probably some criticism with Disney theming, even probably Hollywood Studios Park and Walt Disney World. I think there's some criticism with basically having a Disney park themed after a location or a geographical location, specifically based on a California location. But I think it's great. I think there's a way to do it right. I'm sure there's other ways to make that park better, even if it's not California themed, obviously. But I would say my biggest desire, I guess you could say, for California Adventure would be to bring in some more things for kids, like from toddlers to, age 7, something like that. Just small kids and young kids. I think that's missing a little bit, and I think there's definitely a way to keep the name and also kind of branch out within different lands of that park within California Adventure. I also just think that the vibe of California Adventure and having it themed after California and all the different aspects, for some reason it's very relaxing. Like, you walk into California Adventure, and I feel like everyone would say this, and it's a very, very, very laid back vibe. And as someone who's been local for a long time, and you can probably ask a lot of the locals there as well, it's really the laid back park of the two, and it's just kind of nice. It's kind of nice to have, Grizzly Peak and those waterfalls and rushing waters as if you're out somewhere in the forest in California in the park. And it's really nice to have that nature included in the park, and I think that's great. I feel like the direction of California Adventure, I don't want to spread rumors because I don't know, but I feel like, just based off of what I hear from popular YouTubers and Disney influencers, and maybe some of the things also that Disney is doing, such as the San Fran Tokyo, whatever it's called. I think they're kind of trying to branch off and get away from California themed, And I know that a big thing that Disney is doing right now is also just wanting to create more of an IP wherever they can. So obviously, it's not like Disney owns California and Disney doesn't own Hollywood. So, in that sense, in their eyes, if they want everything to be IP, then in that sense, they're missing out by having the park California themed. But let me know if you agree or disagree. I don't think I'm going to get into the Disneyland side of things. I'll leave that till next time, and I'll wrap this up. But let me know what you think if you can. I have an Instagram now for this podcast, so it's going to be Keys of the Castle Official on Instagram. It'll just be at Keys of the Castle Official, or if you just type into the search bar Keys of the Castle Podcast, that should come up as well. But yeah, for California Adventure, I really feel like it's a good vibe. It's really nice, honestly, to have a more laid back park. It feels more authentic. It feels more natural. It does feel more vacation-y. It's almost like, I think this is what they were trying to do, and to me it works. It's kind of like bringing those other vacation spots in California that you could be at and bringing them inside of a Disney park. And honestly, I think that's fantastic. I think it's such a laid-back vibe. It's so relaxing to just walk around California Adventure. Even though it's somewhat of a smaller park, I think that's even more perfect. It makes you feel like you don't have to rush to get on everything if you're going there for half a day or even for a full day. It's just so laid back, and I think as someone who's been a California local for a long time and who has had an annual pass for several years, and just based on what I see at the parks too from other people who I can tell are California locals and are annual pass holders and go to both of the parks often, I think it tends to be a park that everybody enjoys for the laid backness. That's not a word, but honestly, everybody enjoys the laid back vibe of California Adventure, and I think that's okay. Of course, there's more things you can add in there. Of course, there's better attractions and more exciting things you can add in there, but I am all for the California theming of California Adventure, or rather Disney's California Adventure. I'm all for it, and I'm all for the laid-back California vibes and scenery within the park. I think it's great. I think it's appropriate, and I think that everybody knows that Southern California Disney parks are parks of the locals. Everybody knows that. So I think it's great to have the park themed as the state that the residents love. That's why they live there. That's why we live in California. I kind of live in two places right now besides California, but 30 years lived in California, in Southern California as a local, and that includes going to Disneyland and California Adventure. So I will sign off with that and continue this podcast and this stream of consciousness of Disney theming, creativity, I guess you can say blue sky ideas, if you will, for Disney theming and Disney parks and all of those sorts that have been on these episodes for the past few episodes. So I'll continue this on another episode, a different time, and I want to maybe switch it up and talk about the Disneyland side of things. Maybe I'll get into the taboo of Tomorrowland and some crazy ideas for that. I'd love to hear your guys' ideas as well. You can shoot me a message on Instagram if you'd like, and let me know what you think. Give me some ideas for the parks. Give me some ideas for California Adventure, for Disneyland, for Tomorrowland. What would you do if you were, I don't know, let's just say an Imagineer, or if you were the CEO of Disney, or if you were in charge of the Disney parks, or even just one specific Disney park or Disney location, like Florida, or like California Disneyland, or like Paris, whatever, any of that. Let's just talk, let's hang out, let's have some fun, let's talk about Disney creativity and theming some more, and I may even want to rehash some of the Indiana Jones podcasts that I did in a future episode, or go over that. I'll try to tie that in somewhere. There may or may not be a couple details that I want to add or rehash from that episode. And if you've listened to this, thanks so much. And I will talk to you later.